Now this is the login screen for our RHEL 7. Here we see the login user accounts which we have already created. This one we have created at the time of installation, and if we want to create more accounts, then those accounts you will see here. But if I want to log in as a user root administrator, then I will have to select not listed. It will not show you that user account there. So we will select not listed, then we give the username root, then password for the root account, and then we will log in as a root account. Now for managing the Red Hat Linux, Red Hat RHEL, we can we have a graphical version. This is the graphical desktop, and this is a GNOME desktop environment, and it has all the tools and management tools available for using it as a desktop machine. So we can use it as a desktop machine, and all the graphical things are there which is used to make this machine as a desktop machine. Now if we want to make this machine as a server, so RHEL is basically for the server operating it is basically a server operating system, and this is for the server machines. Now for configuring the servers and services, we have to go for the advanced configuration, and that we can only do it from the command prompt. So what we can do here, we can configure this whole machine through the command line. Now the graphical management is same as what we do in Windows. So we can do it like Windows. We can right click, we can create folders, we can create files. We have graphical tools available to edit the files, modify the files, and copy files, move files. We can do that by just right clicking on the file, and we can cut, copy, move, we can delete. So these all things are same like what we have in Windows in graphical version. That is only the thing which we do in graphical. That is what actually we do it for the desktop machines. Now for the server machines, if we want to make this machine, this RHEL as a server, so we have to do the advanced configurations, and that we can only do it from the command prompt. And basically actually when people use this RHEL for the server machines, so they don't install the graphical interface. So whenever you see any server which is using the RHEL Red Hat Linux for their operating scene as their operating, so they may not use the graphical interface. So mostly when people use this server operating system, this RHEL for the server machine, they use it as a command line. Why use it command line? Because command line does not waste the resources to process the graphical things. For example, if this server, I want to use it for the web services, so I want that this server's whole processing power will be used only for processing the web services, not for these graphical things, these graphical animation, these animations like these and that. So I don't want that animations should be there. So basically people don't use graphical interface for the server machines. So when we go to server machines, we always see command line interface. So what we learn here first is a command line. So command line, that means we will start from the basic commands and how we can manage these machines from the command line. From the command line, that means the normal thing which we do in the graphical. So we will start from the basic, that means what we do normally in the graphical, like we do create files, we right click, cut, copy, paste. So these things we will see first how we can do it from the command prompt, so that we can go to do the big configurations. So we know the basics. So we'll start from the basics. Basics, that means it will include like how to create the file, how to see the directories, what is inside the directories, how to create the directories, how to modify the files, how to copy the files, move the files, delete the files, and also some commands to get the help also, and then some other commands to manipulate with these files and content of the files. So we will use these commands, some basic commands. We'll start from the basic command and we'll go on to see some advanced commands also, which is required to manage the which is required to do the administration and manage the server. Okay, so for running the commands here in the graphical, now when we logged in as a graphical interface, so what we do for running the commands, We have actually six different terminals where we can use to log in as a different user accounts. So right now one terminal is a graphical terminal, then other terminals are all command line terminals. So if I want to use the other terminals, so I can press Alt Control plus these functions keys F2, F3, F4, F5, F6. F1 is a graphical, so if I press F2, I'll be on the command line terminal. And here we can see this user account is logged in here. Then when you are in the command line terminal, then you can move from one terminal to other terminal by just pressing Alt F3, F4, F5, F6, F7 or F1. F1 will take you to the graphical. It will take you back to the graphical. Now in a graphical terminal, for example, we are logged in as a graphical. So if we want to run some commands, then we have terminals. We can go to application, favorites, and we have this terminal available. It is under favorites. The real location for this is utilities. Under utilities you have terminals. So we can open the terminal here, and here we can run all the commands. Now this terminal is actually a sudo terminal. It is called sudo terminal. So when we open the terminal, actually we logged into the terminal. We can also open the terminal by right clicking on the desktop, and we can get this open terminal option. It will also open the terminal. Now this is a sudo terminal where we are opening the terminal because we are logged in as a graphical interface, and we are opening the terminal to run the command. So this terminal is actually the sudo terminal. It is sudo means it is virtual, and when we type this command tty, it will show us that which terminal right now we are logged in. So it is showing here that this is the sudo terminal PTS, that is P is actually sudo. In sudo the P is silent, so it is sudo TS terminals 1. This one is the first one. This one is sudo 0, sudo terminal 0. This one is sudo terminal 1. And if I go to the other terminals, other command line terminals, for example, this is F2, and here if I give command tty, it shows this is tty2. This is terminal type 2. Now this one is not a sudo terminal. This is a command line terminal which we are logging in as a command line. So this is a sudo terminal. It is not a sudo terminal. It is a terminal. Same as this is the F2. This is on F2. So it is tty2. On F3 you will see tty3. On F4 you will see tty4. For example, if I go to F3, I can see this F3 here. If I run tty command here, so it shows that this is tty3. And if I go to F4 and if I give tty command here, so it shows it is tty4. So these terminals is tty terminals. It is also called getty terminals, and the terminal which we are getting on the graphical, it is called sudo terminal. Now before starting the basic commands, first we should understand that what this means. When we see this, so what is this means? So we have to take a note of it, like what this means. Okay, so what this means is, first here in this place you will see the user account. That means it is a username. So whenever you logged in with any user, so that username will show here. So this first place you will see the username. Now here I logged in as a root account, so I'm seeing here root username. Now on the other terminal, on that other command terminal, for example on this terminal, this tty2 terminal which is on function 2 key. Now here I logged in as this user, tech user. So here I am seeing this username as a tech. Now next thing is this @. Now @ means the user is logged in on this machine name. Now here we will see the machine name. Now this is the system machine name, but right now it is showing what? Localhost. Now this is showing localhost because we have not configured any name, and at the time of installation we have not configured any name for the machine. So it has taken the default name. So by default the machine name always be here for the RHEL Linux is localhost. Whether any user is logging here, you can see the machine name is localhost. You can see here for the root, it is also saying this localhost, and if I go to other terminal, here it is also saying localhost. Now then after this you will see this, in this place you will see the present working directory. Remember, present working directory. Now because you are in the command line, you will not know that where you are right now. In graphical we know that when you go to the computer, then you go to media, home, like you go to this home directory, you know where you are going, you know where you are going. You are going under the home, you are going under the tag, you are going under the desktop, you know where you are going. You can see here the path. You are under slash, then you go to home, then you go to tech, then you go to desktop. This is what we see in graphical, but here what we see, the present working directory name. You see the present working directory name, that currently we are under this directory. So whatever we do here, it is going to be under this directory. So for notifying us that where we are right now, we can see the directory name here. Now in this terminal, it is not showing any directory name here. It is showing that symbol. Now this symbol is actually means user is in home directory. So whenever the user will be under the home directory of that user, then it will not show the name of the directory, it will show this symbol. So whenever you see this symbol as a directory name, then you know that the user is under their home directory. So this symbol is actually means the user's home directory, and if the user is other than that, if the user is in any directory, so you will see the name of the directory. Now to know the present working directory, now remember, in command line you will see only the name of the directory right now where you are. Like you are in the desktop directory right now, you are presently working on this directory, but where this directory is, that means this directory is in which directory, and that directory is in which directory, or maybe it is under the slash directory. Every directory will go under the slash. So where this directory, what is the exact path of this directory? Now to know that, we use this command, because in graphical we know when I go to computers, I know I'm in computers, I know this. When I open homes, so I know under computers I am under home. When I open this tech, so I know this under the tech. When I open desktop, so I know I'm on the desktop, and desktop is under this directory, and this directory is under this directory, and this directory is under slash. So we know that, we know the path, we can see the path here. But in command line, what we are seeing here, only the name of the directory, we are not seeing the path. We don't know that where this directory is. In a file system, where the directory is. So to know the absolute path of that present working directory, we use pwd command. This pwd command means present working directory. Now when we run this command, it shows the present working directory absolute path. It shows that this directory desktop is under the root user's home directory, and that root user's home directory is under slash. So we now know that this is the absolute path of that present directory. Now as I said, this directory, this symbol means symbol means it is user's home directory. So what is the root user's home directory? So root user's home directory is slash root. So if I run pwd here, so I can see the path is actually slash root, which is root user's home directory. And when the user is in his home directory, it will show this symbol. For example, if I go to the other terminal, Now here also we are seeing the same symbol here, and this is for this tech user. That means this tech user is under his home directory. Now where this user's home directory is, if I give this pwd command, then it shows that this user's home directory is tech, and that home directory is under home, and home is under slash. Because it is a normal user, so all normal users home directory goes under home, and root user's home directory itself under root, and root is under slash, directly under the slash. Now after this we see this dollar symbol here. Now this dollar symbol means it is a normal user. Now whenever the normal user logs in, you will see the dollar symbol here. Now as you see, this is not a root user, it is a tech user, and this tech user is not a inbuilt root user, so it is not showing here. It is showing what? It is showing dollar symbol. Now if it is a root user, now if suppose the root user logs in, so instead of dollar symbol you will see hash. You will see hash symbol. Now hash symbol means the root user, the administrator, is logged in. You can see the root user is logged in here, and you can see the hash. Here also in this terminal, root user is logged in, and you can see the hash. So this is what it means. First you see the username which is logged in at, you will see the machine name, then you will see the present working directory, and then you will see the indication of root user or not the root user. Normal user you will see dollar symbol, and root user you will see hash. So this is what the terminal shows. So this is the information we see here. Now we can run some other commands. So first command we saw here is to check the terminal, tty. The first command was to check the terminal tty, that where is that terminal, which terminal we are logged in. Then the second command we see is this pwd. It is to check the present working directory absolute path, where you see the directory name but you don't know the directory is located under which directory and where. So we use the pwd to check that where the directory is and where we are logged in right now. Now I will make it full screen this. Now this is a sudo terminal. Now the sudo terminal has other features also, other options also, which is actually graphical options, which is which is not work on the tty terminals. Like for example, we can increase the font size, we can go to full screen here, we can increase, we can go zoom in, zoom out, and we can go to normal size. The shortcut for this zoom in is Ctrl++, and for zoom out Ctrl+-, and to do the normal size Ctrl+0. Because this is a pseudo terminal, so we can do this. We can press Ctrl++. Now for typing the plus in the keyboard, when you press plus, it will actually type equal. So because it is having both the symbols plus and equal, so if you want to press the plus, then you have to use the shift key. So for Ctrl+, you will use Ctrl+Shift+. Now we can see it is increasing the font, zooming. And for decreasing it, we can press Ctrl- key. Now for pressing the minus key, we don't have to press the shift, so we can only press Ctrl-, and then it will zoom out. Now for going on to the normal size, we can press Ctrl+0, and it goes back to the normal size. Now these things is not available on the tty terminal, that terminal which is command line. This is the pseudo terminal, so we can do that. We can increase the fonts, we can do zoom, so that we can see easily. Then also we can do what? We can go to edit, and we can go for the preference, or we can go to the profile preference. In the preference, you can edit multiple things here. You can change shortcuts, you can change add the new profiles also. you can do the encoding, you can add. And for the profiles, you can create multiple profiles here. Right now we have one profile which is unnamed, and if we want, then we can edit that profile. We can edit the profile also. Now profile means what, how the terminal looks. This is the name of the profile. This is the ID, initial terminal size. This is the size of the terminal initial. That means whenever we start this pseudo terminal, so this is the size, column and rows, and we can increase and decrease it. Then cursor shape, it is a block shape. We can change the cursor shape also. Then we have the terminal bell. We have text appearance, allow the bold text, revamp the size, custom font. If we want, then we can change the font also. And we can go for the commands here. We can run command as a login shell. We can update commands, update login records when command is launched. We can run the custom command instead of my shell command, and exit the terminal. When command exit, then it will exit the terminal, or what you can do, restart the command, hold the terminal open. What happened when we press the exit key? We can change the colors also here. We can change the colors. It is using the color from the system theme, but if you want, then you can change it. Yeah, you can go for like green on black. You can go for white on black. We can go for solarized light. This is a sun solarized dark, sun solarized. We can go for other themes like black on light yellow. We can go gray on black. So there is different themes, or we can select the custom also, and we can choose what will be your text color, what will be your bold color, and what will be your background color. Also you can do change these plate colors. Then we can change the scrolling settings, compatibility also. So this is what the terminal settings we have, and this is what, because it is a pseudo terminal, this is what we can't do it on TTY terminals. We can open multiple terminals here. We can change the encoding. We can make it read only, reset. We can open terminal on different size. Then we can search from it, like when we run some multiple commands here, so we can search some command from here. We can see, we can edit something, like we can select some from here with the using the mouse. Remember, in command line terminal, the mouse will be not there. In this pseudo terminal, we can do select some word, we can do copy, we can do paste, we can select all also. This is what we can do in the pseudo terminal. We can do open new terminal, new profile, and close terminal, close all terminals. So this is what we can do in pseudo terminal, that which we can't do it on the TTY terminal, command line terminal. Now I increased some I zoomed in so that we can see easily. Now this is what the commands we have seen. Now the first command we will see is to list the content of directory. This is also important. Like what you want to know, that what is inside some directory. So what you will do in graphically, what you do to check the what is inside the directory. Like suppose what is inside this directory I want to see. So what I will do, I will double click on it, and then I will see that what is inside this directory. Let's say I go to computer and I want to see what is inside this boot directory. So what I will do, simply I just double click on it and I can see the content. Now the same thing if I want to do it through the command line. So what we'll do, so for doing it from the command line, we have a command ls. Now ls means listing. This means listing. Now actually when we open some directory by double clicking on it, actually we are doing what? We are listing the directory. When we double click on any directory in graphical, so what we are doing here is actually we are listing the directory contents. So that is what this ls command do in command line. So if you want to see that what is inside some directory, so you will mention the command ls, then you will mention the name of the directory. So I want to see what is under first suppose I want to see what is under slash. This is our main directory, root directory. So I say ls slash, and it shows that all the directories there under the slash. Now I want to see what is under slash boot. This boot is under slash. So I want to see what is under slash boot. So I will give slash boot. Now it is showing that these are the items we have in this boot directory. Now when we are in graphical, so when we do open this like this, suppose we we open the slash, so we know that what is this, and we see this is a directory. We can see the symbol of this graphical symbol icon. So by the icon we can say that this is the directory, and when we open any directory we can see that this is a file. So we can easily say this is a file and this is a directory. Now the same thing when we do it from command line, so how we will understand that what is a file and what is a directory. So in the command line for the Linux, it shows it in colors. So in this it is showing it under the color, it is showing it in the colors, so that we can understand that what type of file is this, and whatever the name we are seeing here is of which type. Now there are some color coding here. If you see this blue color, now that means it is a directory. So as you see, all these dev, home, mnt, proc, run, these are all directory. These are all directory. So these are all directories. Here when I listed this slash boot, under the slash boot we also have this grub2, which is the same color. So that is also what? It is also a directory. So by the color we can understand that that is what? A directory. Now what else? We are seeing the other colors also. For example, we are seeing this black color. Now black color means what? If the background is black, the white, it is showing black color, and if the background is white, then it will show in white, it shows in black. Now if the background is black, so it will look white color, and if the background is white, it looks black color. Now what that means? That means it is a normal file. So if you see this black or white color based on the background, so it will be a normal file here. So these are normal files. This is normal file, this is normal file, this is normal file, normal file, normal file. As we can see when you go to this graphical also, so as we see here, when we go to under slash, we see all of these are directories, and when we go to boot, we can see these are normal files here, and there is only one directory, and the rest of the files are normal files here. Now there is one more, more file types there. Now we see here this one. This is a red color now. Now this red color is actually a compress. We can say it is a archive files. It is actually compressed files. This is a zip file here. You can see the extension, it is saying GZ. So when you see the red color here, so it is actually RPM files. You will see RPM files as a red color. You will see the zip files as a red color. Also you will see the tar file also as a red color. Now zip file, we know it is a compressed archive, and what is RPM file or tar file? Now RPM file is actually the installation file in RHEL, and tar file is actually the backup file. It is actually backup archive file. So basically those archive zip files we saw in this color, red color, and we can see it on graphical also here. This is the file. Now we have these two files which is red color, green color here. Now these green color files is actually executable files. Now executable files are like in Windows, if you compare with Windows, so executable files which we execute. So in Windows what we execute, we have batch files, we have the exe files which we execute to install the applications. Now here in Linux we have executable file as a binary file. Binary files are all executable files which we execute, and also the script files. So also the script files are also, you will see under this green color. Now actually in Linux, when you give a executable right or permission to any file, so it will become green. System thinks that this is an executable script, so it will change the color to green. So whenever you see the green color file here, so it is a binary file or a script file. Now one more color you will see here, light blue, like this one. lib64, lib, bin, sbin. Now these colors are for the link file. Link, which you see it is under slash, and this is what the light blue color. If we go to see on graphical, we can see here that these are those directories. Link, these are link files. As we can see, there are small arrow here, and arrow means it is actually a link. It is not a real directory here, it is actually only a link here. So real directory is actually located under somewhere else. It is same as in Windows, we have the shortcut. We have shortcuts on desktop. So the same thing which is here under the Linux, it is called link. And this is actually soft link. It is called soft link. And those soft links you will see with this color, sky blue color. So that color means actually it is a soft link. There is one more color you are seeing here. Now this color is actually not for the, it is actually directory, it is not for the file. It is because of the permissions it is getting this color. This is not because of the type of this file, it is because of the permission of this directory. It is actually a directory. This temp is a directory. You can see under the slash there is a directory called temp, TMP. Now this is actually a directory, but you see this as a different color here. Now why we are seeing this different color is because of the permission. The permission which is applied onto this directory is making this directory look this color. And you can see it is not a color of that file name TMP, it is a filled color. It is like this. So when you see this, you will know that this is because of the permission. Okay, so when you list any directory, so we can list by using the ls command. So command is ls, and then we will mention the name of the directory. So it will show all the content inside the directory, whatever the content is there. So the command is ls, then you will mention the name of the directory. Now if we don't mention any directory name, suppose if I give only ls command and press enter, and I am not mentioning any directory to list, then what it will do? It will list the present working directory. It will list the present working directory when we don't give any name of the directory. So present working directory is what? This. Now that symbol means when we check pwd, it is actually /root. So right now we are under the root user's home directory, and when I give ls command without mentioning any directory, so it will list the present working directory, that is home directory of root user. And when I do this, what I saw here, these colors are actually the directories: desktop, document, download, music, picture, public, templates and videos. And these two files are there, initial, setup and anaconda. So these two files are there, which is black. We can verify here when we go to root users home directory. Root users home directory, this is root users home directory. When you go inside, you can see you have these directories, and these are two files we have. So when you mention list ls command with a directory name, then it will list that particular directory, and if you don't mention any directory name, if you give only ls, then it will list present working directory. It will not list any other directory. Now in Linux we have thousands of commands, we have hundreds of commands. Now with each commands we have different options. So with each commands we can add some options. Now those options will do what? It will add some other features with the command. So normally command do something, but when we want to do something advanced with that command, so we add multiple options with the command. For example, this is ls. Now we want to do something else with this, not only list, so we can add some extra options with it. Now how we will add the options with the command? So there are two ways of adding the options. This is the main command. Then for adding the option we have two ways. First, full way, and second is a shortcut. Now full way is like this, hyphen hyphen, and then you will mention the full option. I am saying minus minus all. So this is a way to give a full option. Now I am not mentioning the directory name, so it is going to run on the present working directory, and what we are seeing is this. This is the option. This is an option, and it is increasing the output. Now what it is increasing here? Normally when I run ls without options, so it shows me that these are the files and directory we have under the present working directory, that is /root. But when I use this ls with hyphen hyphen all, so it shows me some extra things. Now this extra thing means actually it is showing what? It is showing all files. As our option says, it shows all. Now all means including hidden files also. Previously when I run this normal ls, it was not showing the hidden files, but when I use hyphen hyphen all, it is now showing the hidden files and directories also. Now we can use this full option, or we can use a shortcut also. Now for using the shortcut for any option, we can use it by giving only one hyphen and the shortcut of that option. For example, for this option all, I can use hyphen a only. That will do the same thing. So it is doing the same thing which this full option is doing. So we have two ways. First, we have the full length option. We can give the full option like hyphen hyphen all, and for the shortcut we can use hyphen a only. Now same as this, we have multiple other options with this ls command, and not only the ls command, with every command of Linux we have multiple options, and those multiple options add some functionality to that command. Now we can add multiple options also. Now for example, with ls I will add hyphen hyphen all. Then if I want to add more options, then I will give space, then hyphen hyphen I will give other option, then hyphen hyphen I will give other option. Now I am adding three options with this ls command. Now what I am doing, I am using the full way, I am using the full options here. Now for using the full options, what we do? First option, then space, then second option, then space, then third option, or more, we can go more. Now remember, in command line spaces are very important. If you don't give space, it will not differentiate between these two or three options or any 2-3 commands. So spaces are very important. Now when I run this, we get this output here. Now this is the full way of giving the options. Now I can use the shortcut also. So shortcut for that options are like -a, -I, -r. It will do the same job. So I can give this also, and we are getting the same output here. Now we can do one more thing. Instead of mentioning the options separately, we can mention them together also. -a, I, r. It will do the same job, and you can see the output is also same. So instead of mentioning the options in full way like this, we can use a shortcut, and even we can use the shortcut by using only one hyphen. So if you want to use these three ways, so I think this one is a easy one. So normally the shortcut one is easier. So mostly people don't use this full way of giving the options. Mostly people use the shortcut way of giving the options. So we can use the shortcut way also to give the option, to add some feature in the command, and we can use the options with only one hyphen. Now the sequence is not important. The sequence is not important, like I can give RIA, it will do the same thing. I can give IRA, it will do the same thing. So option, we can give any option here and there. Sequence is not important. So the easy way to use the shortcut. Now our screen is full, and what we have to do, we have to clear the screen. So for clearing the screen in Windows we use CLS. Now that will not work here. You have to type clear here. So when you give clear command, it will clear the screen. So when you clear the screen, it actually, when you run the clear command, it will clear the screen, but actually the commands are under the buffer. And because we are under the sudo terminal, we can see, if I scroll up, I can still see those commands. So when I clear the command, when I run the clear command, it actually clear the screen, and the rest of the command goes into buffer, and still they will be there. We can see when we scroll it. Now because it is sudo terminal, it is a graphical, so I can scroll it. We can have here scroll option, but when you are in the command line terminal, you will not have the scroll option there. You cannot scroll it, your mouse will not work. So when you clear the command, when you run the clear command, it will clear the screen, and the previous commands, then you will not be able to see these outputs. Now if you want to completely reset the buffer, then you will run the reset command. This command will do what? It will reset the buffer. Then after that you will not be able to scroll also in even this sudo terminal. You see this scroll key here. Now when I run the reset command, it resets the buffer, and now there is no scroll option. So the commands is now clear. The previous outputs and commands were clear now. So we have seen what the ls command, and we have seen that with every command how we can execute the options. Now remember, those options depends on the command. That means option A, suppose with ls-a, do means here all, but with other command it may be means something else. It is not necessary that the one option do something for some command and it will do the same thing for every command. It is not like that. In every command, with every command, the options are different. They are not same. So if suppose -a is doing -all here with ls command, so with some other command that -a will do something else. It is not necessary that -a will always means -all. It may depend. It depend on the command which option you are using. So every command has their own options and they are different. Okay. Now we have seen some options with ls command, but there are some more options are there. So let's see what those options are do. Now we know that how we can use these options and what those options do. It actually adds some more feature into the commands, and also every command options are different. So it varies from command to command. Now we have seen the ls command to list the content of the directory, and if I'm not using the name of the directory, it is listing the present directory, present working directory. Now I added one option with this -a. Now -a means it is actually all. Now what it do here? -all, when I use, now see, when I use only ls, it shows only these directories and file. There is only 2 files there, and then rest of the names are directory. Now when I use -a, what it did here, it shows some extra names here, extra file and directory names. Now this a do what? It actually lists all the files and directories, including hidden files and directories also. Now you see the Anaconda KS, it was already showing here, but these files are not showing normally when we list it. So with -a, these files are showing now. These directories, these files and these directories also, these are extra, which is now showing. This desktop was already showing there, this was also showing there, desktop download document, and this initial setup, music, picture, public and videos, templates. These directories and these files were showing, but there is some extra files and directories are showing here. Now those extra is actually hidden. Now those extra, every extra file and directory you see, these file and directory names are starting from dot. Now that means what? In Linux, whenever your name of the file or directory starts with the dot, that means it is a hidden file or directory. So you see here, these files names are starting with dot, that means these are hidden files. These directories names are starting with dot, that means these are hidden directories. So very easy. If suppose someone says that create a hidden file or a directory in Linux, so what we do, we simply create the directory or file with a name starting with dot, and it will automatically, it will be hidden. Now it will be hidden, that means it will not show when you do the normal listing, but when you add the -a option, then it will show all the hidden files also. In graphically, if you go to home directory of the root user, now this is the home directory of the root user, so it is actually having some hidden directories and file. Now why it is having those hidden files and directories? Because it is a profile, it is a user's home directory, and user's home directory contain some profile files also for relating to that user. So normally it does not show here. In graphical also, if I go here and if I say show hidden files, then you can see those extra files and directory. Now it is not necessary that every directory in the Linux has some hidden files, because it is a home directory of the user and user's profile files are there, so it is those hidden files. It is not necessary that every directory has a hidden files. For example, if I do -a to boot directory, so it is not showing any hidden file here. There is some hidden one hidden file is showing here. As you can see, it is showing one hidden file, but it is not showing much here. So it is not necessary every directory has some hidden files, because it is user's home directory, so it is having some profile files of that user, and those profile files are hidden. But actually we are seeing something here, dot and double dot, that is also we are seeing under boot also. Now you can see this dot and double dot in every directory. Whenever you list any directory and you list with -a option to see the all files and directory with the including the hidden files and directory, you will always see this dot and double dot, whether that directory has content or not. Now I will clear the screen. Now for clearing the screen we have one shortcut also. We can press Ctrl plus L. We can press Ctrl plus L and this is also clear. So instead of typing the clear command here, we can do what? We can press Ctrl plus L. It will also clear the screen. Now I was saying that if I suppose list media directory under media under /media directory. Now you see the directory does not have any content. If you see graphically, where is the media directory? This is the media directory. If I go there, there is no content here, but still it is showing these two dot and double dot, and these are in blue color. Now blue color means it is a directory, dot and double dot. Now basically this dot means present directory and double dot means previous directory. So actually the dot is for the present directory and double dot is for the previous directory. Now we can use this dot and double dot with commands also. For example, I will use it with ls. Right now we are under which directory? We are under this /root directory. So if I want to list that directory, I can say ls dot also, and it is listing the present directory. And if I say double dot, ls double dot, now the double dot means what? It is actually previous directory. So when I give this command, so it lists the previous directory. Previous directory, that means we are right now under the root. So this is the present directory and previous directory is /. So it is listing the / here, and under the / we have all these directories, all the system directories. So when we list all hidden files, it shows these dot and double dot. Every directory, whether a directory has any content or not. So this double dot and dot means present directory and previous directory. So this option do what? ls-a, it lists all the content, all the files, including hidden content, hidden files and directories. Now we have also used one more command, one more option, -r. Now that -r, this is normal ls, and -r when we use, it is actually reverse. It do reverse order. Now what is the difference between normal ls and ls-r? So if you see, the normally when we give only ls, it lists the content through the alphabetical order, A to Z. Now it is not going like this, it is going like this, column wise, like A, B, C, D, now D, then A, B, C, D, E, I, F, I, G, A, and then L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, and what? I, M, then P, then S, T, then V, and then so on. So it is actually listing the content in alphabetical order, A to Z. Now when I give R here, so it will do what? It will reverse. And here we can see it is listing from Z to A. So R is for reverse. So it do reverse it. It will list the content in reverse order. Clear. Now we have one more option. This is normal ls. Then we use -i, that is --inode. Now what this do? When I use this I, now you can see here, with every file and directory you see some numbers here. Normally when we list with ls, it is not showing those numbers, but when I use this -i option, it shows these numbers here. Now what these numbers do, or what that means? Now these numbers is actually called inode numbers. These inode numbers you will get with every file and directory. So here This Linux is actually what the file-based operating system. Now directories are also considered as a file. So whenever we create any directory or any file, those files and directory will get a unique number. It is called the inode number. We can assume this inode number is actually the address of that file or directory in our file system. Now this what is important here for the inode and what is unique here. These inode numbers are actually unique. Unique, that means suppose we have this name here, desktop. Now this directory, desktop directory, you will get to see in every user's home directory. If you have 100 users or 1000 users, so in every user's home directory you will see the same name. You will see the directory name. The name is the name of the directory will be same, desktop, 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 no difference. Now if you see the directory name here, desktop, it is same for everyone. Now this inode number will not be same. This will be different. So if suppose I want to see the desktop directory of root users, then instead of the name I can find it through this inode number. So because this inode number is unique, if I used to try to find with the name, then what, I can find multiple names there which is the same, which is having the same name, desktop, desktop. Every user's home directory contain desktop. So everywhere you will see the desktop, but you don't know which is the one which you want to get. We want to get the directory of root. So we can do it by using this inode number. This is the unique number, and within the whole file system you will not get the same number with other file. You will see this desktop, that means this number, and this number means this desktop. You will not get any other desktop has the same number. So this inode number is actually a unique number given into every file and directory, which we can use to find out that exact file or directory. And also we can use it for many other things. So we saw -a to list the content, all content with including the hidden files and directories. We saw the I for inode number, R for reverse. Now there are multiple other options are also there. Now what options I'm going to show you, which is we required for doing the administration. So we have seen the A, we have seen the R, we have seen the I. Now there are some other options also. This is normal ls, and with that we will use the -l option. Now this -l option will do what? It will list the content in long listing. It is actually called long listing. Now what long listing do? It do this. It actually lists all the content of the directory with the all properties. With the properties, for example, in Windows what we do, we right click on the file and go to the properties to see the attributes of that file or directory. So this is what the attributes and properties of this file and directories here. So we can see this by using the -l option. Now what we are seeing here is actually the whole attribute of particular directory or file. So first what we are seeing here, it is showing that this is the total number of total size of the file which we have here. So it is showing the total size here. Now here with every file you can see this is the file and these are directories, and this is the file and these are directories. So every file and directory we have these attributes. Till here we see the attributes, and then after that we see the name of the file or directory. Now what these attributes are? First, if you see the first minus, this first part, this one indicates the type of the file. As you see that hyphen here, now the hyphen means it is actually the normal file. As we see, it is a black color, it is a normal file. Now the next is what? Here you can see it is D. Now the D means directory. So whenever we have the directory, you will see D here. Even if it is not showing in colors, you can get the name, you can understand by seeing this D here. So this D means it is a file, and the hyphen means it is a D means a directory and hyphen means a file. Now after that, from here to this is a permission. It is a permission option here. With all the files and directory you have these, and these are the default permissions. These are file permission, file access permission. So these are the access permissions of these files and directories, the whole from here to here. With every file and directory you have these default. Remember, this is default access permissions because we have not modified and changed anything. This is the default thing. So you see, these are the default permissions here. After that you will see this, it mentions the link. It mentions the link, that means how many link we have for this particular file or directory. One means there is one link, only one, that is this file itself. Two means there are two links for this directory. One is here and one we can have some, the one is here and the other one we have somewhere else. After that link, you see here the name of the owner. Remember, this name is the owner name. Owner, that means who is owning this file or directory. Right now we are under the root user's home directory here. So all the files and directories are owned by root user. You can see this is root user's home directory, and this is root users owned by root user files and directories. So first name root is actually the name of the user, which is the owner user of the particular file or directory. The second name is a group name. This is a group, this is the owner group of that file or directory. So we have the owner user name and the owner group name here. Then we see here is a size of the file. So it is showing here is the size of the file, whatever the size of the file we see here. Then after that we see the date and time. This is the last modified date and time, or we can say the last creation time. So when the file is created, the time will show there of the creation, and when the file is modified, so it will show the time and date of that modified file. So this is the whole attribute of the file or directory. So what is the attribute? First it mentions the type of the file or directory, then it mentions the permissions, then it shows the link here, then it shows the owner user and owner group, then it shows the size of the file, and then it shows the date and time. And we can see this by running this ls-l option. There is one more shortcut with for running this command is ll. Instead of running ls-l, we can run only ll, and we can run only ll to see this. So when you run ls-l, it is also show you the same thing, and if you run ll, then you can also see the same thing. Now we have the other options also, which is also important. For example, I will use, this is normal ls, and then I will use ls-h. ls-t. First I will show you t. Now see what happens when I give this. Now what is happening here? First when I give this ls, it shows this output like this, same output, but when I give -t, the output is changed. Now what is the change here, and what is this option is doing? If normally you see the output, you will assume like directories are going in one side and files are going in other side, but that is not the case. It is actually doing what? It is listing according to time. So it is listing based on the time. So this is what ls-t is actually for, listing the time. Now it is actually arranging the files according to the time sequence. Normally what it do, normally it arranges these files and directory with the alphabetical order, but when you use the T command, it arranges the files in time sequence order. But we can't see the time here, so we don't know that what is happening here. So if you want to see the time, then you have to use ls-l command. If you run ls-l, then only you can see the modified time here, otherwise you will not see the time. So if you want to run this ls-t, so you should run this always with -l. So there are some options which actually runs with -l, so that you can see the difference. Otherwise you will not see the difference, and even sometimes you will not see the output also. So if I run this -t with -l, then I will see what is the difference and what it is doing. Right now if I give this ls-l without T, so what it is doing here, it is listing the files according to the alphabetical order. As you can see here, A to Z, it is not concerning the time. So if you see here, this file is on 9 July and it is on 123. This one is on 1740, it is on 1659, then again 1740. So it is not arranging the file as a time sequence, it is arranging the file based on the alphabetical order. Now I will use the T option with this L. I add the T with L also, so LT. Now what it will do here, now you can see it is arranging those files and directory according to the time sequence. Now here if you see, this one is the old one, because it is all the files are from the 9th July, but this one is created on 123, then this one is created on 1659, then after that these directories are created on 1740. They might have a difference of seconds here, but the seconds are not showing here, it is only showing minutes here. So they might have a difference of seconds, so it is arranging that these directories and files according to the time sequence. Now what it is showing here, the old one is on down in the bottom and the new one is going up. Now if you want to reverse this, then you can use R also. Now what we are seeing here, the new ones are in the bottom and the old ones are on top. This command is useful in times where you have lots of files in a directory, and you just created one file and you just want to see that what file is created latest, or latest file which is created right now. For example, if I list with -l this etc directory /etc. Remember, this etc directory has all the configuration files. All the configuration files are there under this etc, and it is having a lots of files and directory. It is like this. So there are lots of files and directories are there. Now I am scrolling up, and here I run the command. So what I am seeing here, there are lots of files and directories are there. Now suppose I want to see only the latest files which is created under this directory within this time, like latest time, what are the latest file there. So I can't see this because I have to go through with all the times here. We can see this is on 9 July, this is on May 25, then 9 July on these times and that times. So very difference there. So if I want to see the files which is created just right now, what I will do, I will add the T option here. But T is showing what? It is showing the old files first here in the bottom, and the new files are on top. Now new files are on top. I have to go to top, and these are the new files. Now if suppose, remember, if you are under the command line terminal, this is a sudo terminal, so I can scroll here. I can do the scrolling. But for example, if I am in the command line terminal, so there is no mouse and there is no scrolling. So when I run this command to check what are the latest file I have, so I will see this output only and I cannot scroll, and what I am seeing is the old file at the bottom. I will not see the latest files in the bottom because I cannot do scrolling, so I will not know that what are the latest file created. In that case, what I will do here, I will add -r also. Now it will do what? It will reverse the output and the new files will come down on the bottom. You can see this was 2007. Now the new files are there, which is created just right now. So the command is useful when you want to see the latest files created in a directory where you have lots of files and directories. So in the command line, this is a useful command to check the latest files in some directory. Now we have the other option. This is normal ls and I am giving this h option here. Now if you see the output of both the commands, normal ls and ls-h, you will not see any difference. You will not see any difference because the difference with this h command, the output of this h command, we can only see when we run this with L option. So as I said, some of the options with ls, some of the option we have to run with L. Otherwise it will not affect, or we can't see the effect. Now what is the difference here and what this h option is doing? Now this is normal ls-l and this is the output here. Now what? I will add h option with L and then we will compare the output. Now when we see the output, this is the normal ls-l and this is ls-lh. Now what we are seeing here is this. It is a size of the directory content. Now 8 means what? Is it 8 KB, 8 MB, 8 GB? We don't know. This is the file size here. It is showing the size of the file. But what is this? Is it KB, MB or GB? It is not showing. Now this h option do what? It shows the size in human readable. This h means human readable. And it is showing that this 8 is actually KB, 8 KB, where this is 2.1 KB. Now these ones are less than KB, so it is not showing that any KB there. It is less than KBs, and this is 2.2 KB. So normally when we run ls command, it will not show you the size in human readable form. Now the size we can only see when we use L option. If you don't use L option, we don't see the size. But when you use the H, then it will show you the size in human readable, and it is showing the size in KB, MB and GB. Right now we don't have a file of MB and GB here, but it is showing it as a KB. This one is less than KB. So this H option do what? It shows the size of the file and directory in human readable form, like KB, MB and GB and TB. Now we can only run this H option with -L so that we can see the difference, or we can see the size. Otherwise we can't see the size. So normally when I run that, normally I did not see any difference. I saw only the name of the files. So it was not showing the size. Because of that, we don't know the size of the file. So for showing the size, we have to add it L also. Okay, now we have option. Let's say I want to list this boot directory. Now it is listed the boot directory. Now what? In boot directory, we have these files, these archive files, compressed files, these are executable files, and these are normal files. There is a directory there. Now what is inside that directory? I don't know. I want to see what is inside that directory also. So what I will do, I will list that directory also. I will say I want to list grub2 which is under boot. Now it is showing that under that grub2 directory we have these files, and there are some directories also. Now I want to see what is inside these directories. Now what I have to do then, I have to list each and every directory one by one. Now there is only 4 directories, but maybe we have multiple directories there, and in that multiple directories we have multiple directories. Now if we want to see all the files, all the content in a particular directory, including all the directories, subdirectories and subdirectories. For example, I just want to list boot and I want to see all the directories, files and subdirectories and sub files in this directory boot. I want to see everything in only one command. I am not able to see here when I run this only. So we see only the files and the directory name, but what is inside those subdirectories we don't know, and we have to do it manually. We have to list each and every directory manually. Now I want to do it, I want to list everything. So what I will do here, I will use -R option. So with ls -R, it will do what? Remember, small r is for reverse, and this is what capital R. Now what that means is Linux is case sensitive. In Linux, small is small and capital is capital for the name of the files and directory and for the commands and options. So it is not, it will not take small and capital as same. So everything is case sensitive. So Linux is basically case sensitive. So it is not like if you want to write the desktop, so you cannot type desktop like this. It will not work. The desktop D is capital, so you have to type it like this. So this is what case sensitive. Now I want to list what is inside boot with this -R option. Now -R. Now what it will do? It will list this directory, and including this directory it will list all the other directories, other subdirectories. So it will list all. Now this -R means recursive. It will list this directory in recursive order. Now recursively means it will list this directory and all the subdirectories inside this directory. Now see what happens when I press enter. So what it is doing here, so first when I use command here, so first it listed the parent directory, root first directory, and it shows that this directory contains these files and this directory. Now what it do here, it opens that directory here, and it says that these files are there and these directories are there. Now it opens this phone directory here, and under the phone directory we have only one file, there is no directory here. So the option, this thing is finished here. Then it opens this directory here, and under this directory we have all these files, but there is no file, so there is no directory, so that is also finished there. Then it opens this local directory. Now under that local directory we have these files, there is no directory, so the this is also finished here. Then it opens this theme directory. Now under the theme we have this one more directory, no files. Then it opens this system directory, and there is no file there, no file, no directory. So what this option do? This option lists all the directory content in recursively. Recursively, that means all the directories and subdirectories it will open, it will list everything. Now one more option. For example, this is ls. Now for example, let's say I want to see the properties of this anaconda file, property of that file. What is the property like, what is the permission, what is the size, what is the, who is the owner, modify date I want to see. Let's say I will do what, I will use -l command, and then I will mention that file name. So it shows me the all the attribute properties of that file, and then this is the file name. Now I want to do the same thing for the directory. So I will do -ls -l and then directory name. But remember, this was file and this is directory. So when I do this, what it actually do here, instead of showing the property of this directory, it is showing all the content of that directory. That means what is inside this directory, it is showing all the properties and attributes of that file, those files and directories inside this directory. It is not showing the properties of this directory, attributes of this directory, like we use it for the file. Now because it is file, so we can do that, but when you use it for the directory, it will not show you the directory's properties, it will show you the content of that directory. Now if I want to see only the file properties or attribute, then what I will use, I will use -d option. Now remember, if I use only d, so by the description, d means for directory, it is for listing the directory, but it is no useful. If I use only d here with the directory name, it will show me the directory name itself, so there is no use for it. So this is used when we use it with the L option. So what it do here, it shows the directory itself, the properties of attributes of that particular directory, not the files inside that directory. So always we should use -ld together to list the attribute of particular directory. Otherwise it will try to list the content of that directory. But if you use only d, there is no use. It will show you the name only. So this is what -d option. So this is ls command with the options, with some options, not all. There are many options are there which we can run with ls command, but for the administration, for the importance, we have seen some of the options. That options which we have, which we need, which is required for us. Those are the important options we have. Now, for going further, next we will see that how we can create any file in our Linux system, and creating the files from command line. Now for going ahead, before going ahead, you have to note few things working on this command line. Now first thing is this: in command line, whenever you run any commands, so you have to be careful with spaces. For example, if I run ls-l or I want to list any directory, so what I am doing here, I am maintaining the spaces between these options and value. So every option, we have the option here, then we have a command here, then we have the option, and then we have the value based on these options. So whatever we do, the format is same, like whenever you run any command in the command line of the Linux, or so the format will be same: command, the options with that command, and then the value. Now we have to maintain the spaces properly. If we want to give the spaces properly, then we will get the error. So after a command, whenever we are giving the options, we will give space first. So after command, we give space, then we mention the options, then we give the space, and then we give the value. Now if you give a wrong spaces in wrong ways, wrong side, like for example this is working properly, if suppose I give like this ls hyphen space L and then the name of the directory. I will get what? I will get error here. What I am getting here? I am getting error for the options, and what it is not listing what I according to what I want. It is not listing the long list. It is only listing this boot directory because this ls is right and the boot directory name is right. So it is listing that directory but not listing with the option L because I gave the wrong way. I gave a space in between hyphen and L. Or if suppose for example I give like this slash space boot. Now this is also not right. I am giving space here which is not right. After the slash there is no space, under the slash directly the boot directory is there. If I give this command again I will get some error here. Now what I get here, it is listed the slash because till here there is a right command but it is not getting this boot and it is saying that cannot access this. And what it is doing here, it is listing only slash. It is not listing slash boot. So you have to be careful where is the space and where is not the space, because in command line the spaces are important. When you give a space, so it is actually separating the values. It is separating the command, it is separating the option, then it is separating the values. So you have to be careful with these spaces. Okay, the next thing is the path. The important thing is the path. The path, that means because in the command line it is not a graphical like you go there to create something. If suppose you want to do something on some directory, you go there. Like for example, if I want to do something inside the normal user's home directory, so I will go there, home, then this directory, then desktop, and then what I want to do I will do here. Now I know what I am doing and where I am doing. But in command line you will not know that where you are and what you are doing, where you are doing. So you have to be careful that where you are and where you want to do something. So there are two options here. You can give the local path and you can use the absolute path. Now local path, that means for example I want to list. This is my root directory and under root directory I have these files and directories. Now I want to list this desktop directory. There is nothing there but I want to list it. So what I will do, I will list, then I will mention this name of the directory. Now see, desktop D is capital. Now I can press enter. Without any error it is showing there is no file there. Now this is what I am using is the local path. Now local path can be successful only when you are under the same directory where these files and directories are present. So right now we are under the home directory of root and this desktop directory is under the root user's home directory. So it is running successfully when I am giving directly the name. Now the absolute path means we will mention the path of the directory or file from the root, from the slash. For example, I can do list this desktop directory with this command also, slash root, and under the slash the desktop directory is there. Now the both commands are same, both commands are working properly and both commands are doing the right thing. They are doing listing this desktop directory. But you can see here in the first command I used the local path and the second command I used the absolute path. Remember, absolute path means it will give a path. You will mention the path since the beginning, from the beginning slash, then we mention that under the slash there is this directory, then under that directory we have this directory. So local path can work only when you are under the same directory where that file or directory is. Now if you want to do something from the other directory, then you have to give the absolute path. You have to give the absolute path. For example, we have this boot directory here. Now you see under the boot directory I list. Now we have this grub directory there. I want to list this grub directory. So if I use like this ls grub2, then it will give me error. It says there is no file and directory there. Why? Because I have not given the absolute path. I was trying to use the local path, but it is not working here because right now I am under slash root, and under the slash root I have only these files and directory. There is no directory name grub2. Grub2 is under boot, under slash boot. So if I want to do something on this directory, then I have to do it like this: ls first slash, then under slash there is a boot directory, and under the boot directory we have a grub directory, and now it is working. So this is what absolute path. Now because I was under slash root, I can do it. I want to run some command on this, so I have to give the absolute path. And remember, absolute path will always start from slash. So the benefit of using the absolute path is that you can do anywhere, you can do anything from anywhere. Like you are sitting on this slash root directory, but you can do anything on any other directory by using the absolute path. Like you can create files, you can delete files, move, copy, anything if you use the absolute path. Local path you can use only when you are on the same directory and the files and directories are under the same directory. Like I am under this root, so under the root we have these files and directory, and if I want to do anything with this, then I can use the local path. I can use directly the name. If I want to edit this file, then I can directly use the name directly. I can use a command and the name of the file directly. I don't have to give any path. But if I want to edit these files, then I have to give the path, absolute path. So with this slash boot and then the file name. So this is what is important to work on command line. First thing is to make sure that you give a proper spaces between command, option and value, and don't give a space where it is not required. Then the next thing is the path. So we have two options, local path and absolute path. Now for the beginning, if you are a beginner, then you should always use the absolute path for everything. Now when you get expert, you will be used to, then automatically you will start using the local path, because you will understand everything. You know that I am right now under the root and the desktop is already under the root, so I can go directly give the name. But you should use from the beginning, you should use the absolute path. So this is some basic commands of ls, and these are some important things to work on the command line. Now next we will see how we can create the files.